Hi, this is Jackie Miller, your host of Out of Crazy Town, your guide to divorcing a narcissist. Hope Rose is more than a name. It is a movement forged in the fire of a brutal custody battle and the torment of the family court system. Instead of letting injustice break her, she transformed her pain into purpose, creating Hope Rose to help others rise from their own struggles. In this episode, we are diving into 10 powerful ways Hope Rose has found to heal, rebuild, and move forward. These are small but life-changing habits that create strength and resilience. No one should have to walk this road alone, and today we're sharing the tools to help you take the next step. All right, welcome, Hope Rose. Thank you so much for joining me on Out of Crazy Town, your guide to divorcing a narcissist.
Thank you, Jackie. I'm delighted to be here.
I'm so glad you're here because we were just talking before we started recording. I think this is a great opportunity. You've been through a really horrific journey and turning pain into purpose and helping women transform their lives. And it's a great opportunity for you and I to come together and talk about things that we can do in our lives to make some small but impactful changes. So I'm excited to talk to you about that today.
Awesome. Excited to chat about it.
You started a movement called Hope Rose based off of your journey. And so I'm going to let you just tell us a little bit about how you got here and why you started this movement. What led you to this point?
Hope Rose is a metaphor for rising from the ashes. People that are listening to this podcast, we've been through the ashes. And when you're in that fire, it's very difficult to see the light. How can we transmute all of this fire, this pain into something beautiful? The face of the movement to bring hope of no matter how difficult and painful your story is, you can rise from the ashes as well. Because I did it. I'm doing it right now. And so can you.
So many listeners are going through so many awful things and, are looking for community and support. And when I stumbled on your information and was doing some research, and I want everyone to know they can go to hoperosespeaks.com. Do I have your website correct?
Yes, you do.
Okay, awesome. And then also your Instagram at Hope Rose Speaks as well. You can download 25 transformational sort of tips that Hope Rose has put together. I'm so passionate about this right now because I think that we have been often in relationships with someone super controlling. And then their goal, especially post-separation, is to find ways to control us with other means and tools. And we wake up days thinking, what do I have control over? I want to take a deep dive about how important these things are, exactly what they can do for us. And so I picked my 10 favorites. You guys have to go to Hope Rose Speaks to see all of them and also listen to your podcast. And would you tell us a little bit about your podcast as well?
Sure. It's called A Transformed Life. And in the beginning, the first, I think, 2 or 4 episodes is kind of like my story of everything that I've gone through. I'm happy to share the highlights on here if you want me to, but it's a pretty traumatic, tragic situation. And I'm still in the throes of it as of this recording. The other podcast episodes are really just kind of about positivity, motivation, inspiration, thoughts, ideas. And I'm pivoting the podcast to one-on-one coaching. I really love supporting other people going through whatever stage of the journey they're on and doing live coaching episodes on the podcast. So if anyone would like a free coaching session, they are more than welcome to, send me an email, fill out the form on my website, hoperosespeaks.com. And I would be happy to, have a free session. It's audio only. We can use a different name and really kind of untangle how you got here and what you want to work on in that session. So that is kind of how I have structured my podcast.
As Hope Rose just said, you can go to her website and fill out a form, and she's considering, guests right now, right? So go there and do that if you want to share some one-on-one coaching. And again, you can remain anonymous and all that. So that's so cool. I want to dive into this. I'm super excited about this because I know I have my things that I do. And when I saw your information, I actually challenged myself to do a few more. And then I want to get, a little bit into a deep dive into what some of these cool things are that people should do for themselves to take back control. It's more than self-care, you guys. It goes deeper than that. That word's a little been watered down. That term's been overused. One of the things that you put was to read a personal growth book every week. Tell me more about that.
So I did this last year in 2024. and it was like near the end of December 2023, and somebody I follow on Instagram like posted this challenge. Oh, why don't you read a personal growth book a week? And he was like, I've actually never done that myself. And so he challenged like his community to do the same thing. And I'm like, oh, I wouldn't consider myself a reader per se. I can get a little bit into like my previous history as like an ultra runner, but I'm kind of, type A ultra runner. I've run, like 1450 milers, 400 milers. Like I do big things. And so for me, reading like a personal growth, spirituality, entrepreneur book a week was a stretch. And so I did it. I did 52 books in 2024. It was a great journey. Like, I mean, I just did it. There was no accountability. I didn't call somebody up and like, I finished the book. Like I was accountable to myself. And it was really fun of like, what's the next book I'm going to read? And just kind of like going through it. And so, yeah, I did that for the first time in 2024. I'm not doing that in 2025. I've kind of, moved on from that. But it was a really great, I looked like, just kind of getting in the like, routine of like reading a book and always having that book with you instead of like your phone of like when you're tempted to like, okay, I got 10 minutes. Am I just going to scroll or can I read and like feed my mind positivity and very specific to, okay, I'm in a difficult situation. How can I build myself up? And it's just a very subtle way to take your power back of like, oh, I can build myself up as I'm walking through this fire.
I love it because I've gotten so into understanding the neuroscience behind abuse and healing and whatnot. And we are so susceptible as victims of abuse and still enduring post-separation abuse, being at a high rate of rumination happening all the time. And then if you're still in a court case and you're trying to deal with it and you're forced to focus on all the negative stuff all the time, and you're documenting and you're writing declarations and you're talking and you're getting prepared for hearings, and it consumes you. And you have to find minutes in your day when not only you're not thinking about it, but you're thinking about something positive. And this is a way to pick up a book and think about and read about something positive. And if you do it repetitively and then you have a little goal and it's a game and you get to your next book and your next book, it is a way to carve out that space for your mind to focus on something else, because we're unfortunately, all the stress and the cortisol circulating and whatnot continues to damage our brains and then make us even more susceptible to triggers and harder to pull out of that rumination. So I absolutely love that, you guys. It's not just reading self-help books. You are doing so much more for your brain and body when you, like you said, put down your phone and pick up a book and take it with you everywhere.
But healing doesn't have to be expensive. Like if you are of low means, you can get a free book from the library, 52 books for the year, and transform your life that way. So I wanted to make most of like the 25 items on the list free to low cost. Some of them have a cost to it, but healing is accessible no matter where you are on your financial path, like your, nervous system capacity. So, you don't have to buy a book. You can go get one from the library. Books are free.
I absolutely love that. Thank you for that suggestion. And so in sort of the same vein, you suggest to do some writing every day. And I know I have my spin on this, but so you go first. Tell me more about that.
I've always been a writer, and I'm in my mid 40s at this point. So I've been writing, journaling, whatever you want to call it, for decades, since I was a kid. I grew up in a very traumatic, abusive childhood. And one of the things that my outlet was writing. I picked this up in, I guess, a little over 2.5 years ago. And I think you can learn more about this, like in my podcast of like my story. I was encouraged to write 3 pages in the morning, and I added like a page at night. I have written like 130 hours in the last 2.5 years. I'm on my 14th book right now, my 14th journal. Each book journal has 160 pages in it. Each page takes about 5 minutes. And through this process, I have kind of developed my own writing transformational process. I call it Soul and Script. And so I've developed into a product. You can buy it on Hope Rose Speaks. Comes in a beautiful organic cotton bag with colored pens. And this bag goes everywhere with me. If I am feeling triggered, I just whip out my book and pen and just start writing. Of just, like kind of like a brain dump. It is like my safe space. And I know so many people are so concerned, like somebody's going to read it. I don't have that particular fear.
Sure.
And there's certainly ways to work through that. I guess I'm so centered, like, this is just for me. This is my sacred space, but it's really just free flowing. You just write whatever comes out to you. And if you look back in your journals, like over a period of time, you'll see your writing changes, because in the beginning, you're just kind of like all over the place. And then you'll see it kind of start to change, of more like journaling entries from like your higher self, to put it in like spiritual, terms.
Sure.
But it is such a powerful practice. I look forward to this every morning. And then I think the piece that I've seen missing in the personal growth space is that everybody has a morning practice. Very few people have like a night practice. And how many people can't sleep at night? I mean, I'll raise my hand to that, like insomnia, racing thoughts, all of it.
Many of the people in this audience.
And so it's like mandatory, it's like a prescription, to write at least one page before you go to bed.
Absolutely.
And give yourself that 5 minutes of just writing what happened in the day. The practice at night, I think, is just as, maybe it's even more important than the morning practice, because it really just, it dumps everything out of your brain. You don't have to hold on to that. You can process how, angry and upset your like the court hearing didn't go this way, and she's, the opposing counsel said this, and you don't have to respond to your ex with that energy. You take that energy and put it into your journal. And then you can be in a very clear place, gray rock, whatever, yellow rock. There's so many different rocks out there. Instead of, you may not even respond at all to the message on OFW or whatever, talking parents, if you don't have to. All of your emotion is in this writing practice. And so I call it soul and script. But part of what I have, like, my writing process is at the end of every journal entry. You could do it on the end of every page too, but you write, I love you, and insert your name.
Oh,
try this practice for at least, I'll say 30 days, but like in the morning you write, I love you, Anne, I love you, Julie, whatever your name is, just put your name in. You put a little heart, little XO, write that in the morning when you finish your page, and write it at night. And it changes like your chemistry. It changes your energy, your frequency. You're giving yourself love, and you don't have to like look at it from like an external source. So that is one transformative free tip that I will offer to anybody when you're writing I love you name. It's a very powerful practice.
Another twist on this, if you have been dealing in negativity and documenting all day or doing whatnot, also maybe think about using that time to write about what you want your positive future to look like, because we're so wrapped up, right, in the hearing and the next trial day and the what's going on in the last message we got sent. We never take time to think, God, what does good look like? Like, what is a awesome day in my life? What's a perfect day look like? Because I've been having a string of days, weeks, months, years of unperfect days. That was the one thing I took that I've been sticking with after listening to your podcast episode and reading your transformation suggestions is the writing. I've been really making myself do it. And you're right, your writing changes. It feels so good. It's almost a little addictive in an awesome way. So thank you for that. These practices that seem so simple, and we've heard about them before, they make a huge difference, and the ripple effect is far reaching. And that's why I wanted to do this episode, because it's true. This is true shit, you guys. We're not messing around here. Yeah.
Honestly, like when my mentor like asked me of like, where do you envision yourself, in a year from now? I could not answer that, but I am here to tell you that I did not know where I wanted my life to be at one point, and I am closer to that vision today.
So profound and so true. And no, I don't have it all together. And I take pride in that. I take pride in admitting that. And I have days that getting to the couch is where I'm going to be for that day. If I can grab that journal and that pen and write a little bit, and we're going to go through some other things that we do. That's why I wanted to do this episode, because I want you guys to know that. So this is my sciencey nerd side of me, which I love taking over, because I am currently obsessed with magnesium. And I know that you talk about your foot soaks that you do. I do baths. This is, again, serious stuff you need to understand about magnesium. Okay. So give me your take.
So I actually have the bottle like right underneath of me. So this podcast is not sponsored by them. I am not sponsored by them. Magnesium, about like 80, probably it's closer to 90% of humans are magnesium deficient through stress. And any listener that's listening to this podcast, you are under stress. And so when we have stress, our body depletes minerals, especially magnesium. So this ties in back to the sleep. If you're struggling with sleep, stress in general, feeling anxious, heart racing, get yourself some magnesium soak. And I use, this is really the only one I found. It's called Living the Good Life Naturally. So I just have to soak my feet in a glass bowl of water. But if you have a bathtub, just pour it in like a quarter cup of this liquid magnesium, soak in there for at least 45 minutes. And that is a very simple way to get your stress levels kind of at least mitigated. So that way you're not so much in the sympathetic nervous system of fight and flight and freeze and fawn and all those F words. I think the other term is wellness stacking. So when you're taking your bath or you're doing your foot soak, you can journal, you can read, you can light a candle. Like you can do 5 healing things at once.
I was going to say, you just stole my wrap up speech at the end. I'm kidding. I mean, it's good. That's good because you're right. You're absolutely right. I have never heard the term wellness stacking. I'm now going to use it because I'm going to have to reference it again when we wrap all this up.
Yeah, 5, like how many can you do together? And that is not my original term. I heard it from someplace else. I don't know. There's always biohacking and wellness stacking. I'm like, especially like if you're dealing with drop-offs and exchanges and just, that high conflict and the ongoing, abuse of so many different angles. This is a great opportunity to bring your kids into the very like subtle healing, energy, and you can like heal together without being, you don't have to announce it.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend that magnesium soak. It is a staple in my like daily life. There's magnesium lotion as well. So magnesium is best absorbed transdermally. That's why it's through the feet.
So I'm going to suggestion stack.
Okay. Oh, awesome. I love it.
So one of my favorite self-help books is Tara Swart, who is a psychiatrist and then also a PhD in neuropharmacology, I believe. And she has a great book called The Source. So you guys can put that on your list. And she's the one that actually got me obsessed with magnesium because she's an MD and a PhD. But you guys, it's reduces stress and anxiety, improves sleeps, eases muscle tension, cramp, supports heart health, boosts energy production. Like read about it. You may not have like this sciencey like obsession I do with stuff, but it's a big deal. So I was super happy to hear that you did that. And again, you can soak and you can journal at the same time. Okay. This I love. I know a lot about it, but I've never done it. And so you have to tell us more. The Mendy practice. Explain this to me.
Yes.
What this is.
So the Mendy practice is a device.
Okay.
And it is a neurofeedback at-home device.
Okay.
And so you just turn it on. So you just turn it on here and then it syncs to your app and it's a 10-minute practice. I do it every morning. This does cost a little bit of money. I believe it's a really good investment. There have been studies when you do this neurofeedback, it can help heal. So today made 476 days in a row that I've been doing this neurofeedback 10 minutes a day, 10 minutes every morning. And I'm super excited of that. That's the other thing, just really quick. When you have these little wins, it changes the neurochemistry of like, oh my gosh, I just did how many days in a row? That's incredible. So that changes like brain chemistry to like, it gives you a dopamine hit instead of something negative. This is a positive way. So just want to put that in there for anybody who's listening, whether it's, a streak, whether it's just like, oh, I wrote today. I got out of bed today. I am so damn proud of you. You know what I mean? Like just little things like that. So acknowledge the wins. The Mendy at-home neurofeedback device, it's great for kids as well. But there's research that it helps heal CPTSD. And if you're a listener, you probably definitely have, CPTSD. I know I do. And, the struggle with, probably what you and your, our listeners are going through is that we're still going through ongoing trauma. It's ongoing abuse, it's ongoing violence, whether it's from your ex, whether it's from opposing counsel, the court system. This practice and why I've been so dedicated to do it. It's like, I'm going to heal my brain.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. And so it's just 10 minutes every morning. You focus on this like little thing on your screen. It like changes your neurochemistry and your brain health and all of that stuff. And because of the immense trauma that I've gone through, like I think my goal is at least 1,000 days in a row. I mean, the rest of my life, I don't know when will ever stop, but it's a really good at home, like everyday practice that you can do with you and, again, your kids as well.
Awesome.
I believe the device is around $200.
Okay.
Somewhere around that. But again, when you use it every day and when you really are like, I'm going to heal my brain, like, let's do this. And you have all these other supporting things. I mean, $200 a day is like pennies by the time you use it for so long.
Exactly. It
And I
pays
always,
for itself.
this is just one little way that you can heal your brain. You can feel more at peace with your body and, with all the other like modalities too.
I love this. And I had researched this in the past and completely forgotten about it, which is why I wanted to bring it up today. And just so you guys know, it's MENDI. And I'll put a link in the show notes as well. But definitely think there's something to it. I love that you've used it and you're here to have some testimony about it, because I think that could be super helpful to a lot of people. We're going to get into a little bit of exercise. You suggest specifically plank, pull-ups, or push-ups. And then I have a little spin on that too. So tell me your take on that.
Yes. So, physical activity, I really like physical activity in nature. Again, this whole, healing stacking. Maybe it's healing stacking.
Oh, okay. Let's do that. Let's do healing stacking.
We'll make our own term.
Yes.
It's going to be famous. Healing stacking, like if you can, take a walk in nature, you're getting both at the same time. On this list that you are welcome to download on my website, I really wanted to make things, again, free and accessible. You can start push-ups on your knees. You can do them in your house. You don't need to have $100 or even a $25 gym membership. You can do it anywhere. You can do it in the park. You can do it at the playground. Wherever you are, you can do it. And so that was kind of the basis for again, healing doesn't have to be, super expensive. You don't have to go to, drive an hour for a session. You can do it right in your own living room. And so, start with push-ups on your knees, advance to, your toes. The other thing is pull-up strength and even like grip strength. Most people don't have that grip. And so there's a specific pull-up bar. I think I linked to it in the PDF. You can get it on Amazon, but it goes in between the doorway, not over the doorway. So it's like, expansion, so you can kind of like adjust it to your doorway. I have mine in my bathroom doorway. I've posted a few videos of this setup on Instagram, and feeling strong really makes you feel powerful as well. And it also helps regulate the nervous system. And so when you feel physically strong, you feel more energetically strong to withstand the brutal court system, all the nasty things your ex is going to say, like things that are triggered. And so it's just these little subtle changes that you can make, that you can incorporate into your daily life. And so again, just really simple ways to help your nervous system regulate through all of this turmoil. And then you can show up more calm in the situations. If your kids come back and they're just feeling super, dysregulated, you're going to be able to show up like regulated, and it's going to like co-regulate them. It's the healing stacking.
Yep. It's the healing stacking.
Healing stacking.
As someone headed into their mid-50s, I know how muscle loss is such a massive problem for women. It's just what starts to happen after 35. And so anything you could do to sort of gain back that muscle, it's just so much better for your body on so many levels, because we're so susceptible with the high levels of anxiety to then depression, et cetera. And so getting up is hard, but you can roll off the couch, get on your knees and do 5 push-ups. Okay. And you will literally start making a pharmacy of chemicals in your brain and body just from that small activity that, you're right, is so good for your brain. And then any muscle that you can build is just, it's so much better for your body.
For sure. And if the floor seems off limits, then you can do push-ups against a wall.
Yes.
Like I don't take excuses. There's always something. Do it just against a wall, be really close to the wall and just like push yourself in, push yourself back. You can do it. There's no excuses.
No, there's not. I used to, this is like so funny, when I was trying to basically do something like that every morning, habit stacking, I would brush my teeth. So you pick a habit that you do every day, no matter what. So brush my teeth. That's one, thank God, that I still do, even on the worst days. And I would stop where I was after I'd brushed my teeth on the bathroom floor. I didn't care if it was clean or not. And I would do 10 sit-ups. And that was like my thing, to just try to get this practice of any kind of exercise when I was really in a low spot and not doing anything good for myself. So no excuses. I love it. Even if it's on your dirty bathroom floor after you brush your teeth. All right. I'm drive my family nuts with this one. It has to do with your bed. Yours is about washing your sheets weekly, which I love. And I have a feeling you have even more about, and then mine is a little bit more about making your bed, but I do wash my sheets also. But I think I love the washing the sheets, because I think you're probably going to tell us even more then it's just clean sheets.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't. I'm sure there's some science behind there's bed bugs and, you don't want to, no, I'm not going to gross you out. I really was just thinking of just like simple ways of like when we get such in the rut of just life is just bringing us down. The simple, like even brushing your teeth or washing our face or like eating. Like some of the grief is so bad. It's just, I don't have an appetite. And so I was really trying to think of just like simple ways of like, what's one thing I can do? I can wash my sheets every other week on Sunday. Like you pick a day and you just do it. And kind of piggybacking on some of the things that we've talked about previously, it's like when you pick one thing or 10 things, when you start doing that habitually, you kind of get into a healthy rut. Not this negative rut of like an alcoholic doesn't become an alcoholic overnight. It happens over time. Like, it's like abuse. We didn't realize we were in an abusive situation probably until maybe a year after everything ended. Because you're like, you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, I lived through that. And so what my goal for people and literally just washing your sheets is just like, oh, I can do this every Sunday or every Monday night, whatever works for you. And you kind of like look forward to that. And again, it's like this stacking of a positive habit. Like I wash my sheets every other week or every week, whatever system you have for a full year, for 6 months. And it gives, again, that dopamine hit. And so we want these positive dopamine hits of where we are successful in winning. I might not have the nutrition down, but I can wash my sheet.
Yeah.
And so it's just like little things. Maybe I can't do the push-up today. I can wash my sheets. And so it's just getting one thing. If things feel so overwhelming of what we're talking about of like, writing and journaling and magnesium baths, maybe it's just washing your sheets. It's my revolutionary, concept of just washing your sheets, making your bed, giving your system some stability. When things feel so unstable, it's like, I know on Sunday morning, Saturday morning, we're going to wash the sheets.
Absolutely.
It's just a idea I had.
I absolutely love it. And I think the making the bed is kind of like, I don't know if anyone's ever heard the famous speech about the guy that gave the speech at a college graduation about making your bed. But it's like, if your day goes horrible, you come back and you did one thing today that was good. You made your bed. And there's also the science behind decluttering and how it's just a little bit better for your mind. And then the sheets, I mean, I just know anytime I wash my sheets, I get in, you just feel, you get in clean sheets. You're like, oh, there's just something about it. So I'm a big fan. I know who knew that your bed held so much power, not only for sleep, which is obvious, but how you treat your bed. So wash your sheets, make your bed, the feeling of accomplishment. I think it's good for you. You're right. And you just kind of have that biofeedback of, okay, I achieved something today. I did something today.
And it's also just the energy of clean.
Yes.
And sometimes we can feel so dirty going through this system of just like the grime, the filth of it, the abuse, the violence, it's just gnarly. Mm-hmm. And so if we can kind of change our, different systems in our reality to like, oh, I feel clean, then that will have an energetic frequency on, our 3D life.
Okay. Next one, write a handwritten note once a month to someone. Tell me about that.
That is just a really great way to implement gratefulness and to really get outside of yourself. Like one of these quotes I came up with how can I be a blessing to someone, some way, somehow, somewhere. My goal was like, how can I be a light? I'm grieving. Like, I can't believe all this stuff is happening. How can I show up for the women around me? And so when we kind of, get outside of, ourselves, it's taking that physical act of gratitude and putting it into practice. And again, it's giving your brain that a little dopamine hit of like, oh, this person did this for me. That's amazing. If you can do it when your children are watching, I think that's a really good practice too, of like, oh, mom is writing a thank you note. Do you want to write one too? It doesn't have to be long, but again, it's the act. And the more we are kind to ourselves and kind to other people, that's how the frequency comes back to us.
Love this for so many reasons. The act again of writing is very powerful, just having that pen in your hand. And then it just starts that flow of positivity through you. Like you said, changing your own energy. You're mailing that letter off or note into the world, and you're literally sending that positive energy out into the world. You're modeling this amazing behavior for your children. Like you said, I love this practice. I think it's amazing. Next time you're in CVS Walgreens, get yourself set up for this. Just buy the stuff and bring it home.
I'll have cards available soon. You gave me an idea.
Okay.
The entrepreneur in me. Yeah. It's also like the tangible of like, we're so digital, we're so on our screens, it's like texting. It's just like people love getting mail. We like getting those snail things like we do. It really brings so much gratitude and gratefulness and less loneliness in the world. Maybe it's to another single mom that's going through, like, hey, I'm thinking of you. Like, you got this, just an encouraging word,
Yeah, I love it. I think it's beautiful. It's a wonderful, wonderful suggestion. Okay. I really like this one too, because I try to do it sometimes and I just forget. And so I wanted to remind people, but this is a little bit sciencey if you really get into it too, but it's doing things with your non-dominant hand. This is like, this again is so good for your brain. It's so good at helping rewire it. It's so good for so many reasons. What do you say about that?
Again, it's another free exercise that you can do.
It's so easy.
It's so easy. Like, you can rewire your brain for free. Maybe I need to do a PDF on that, like for free with all these different ways. Like, you're saying brushing your teeth, brush your teeth with a non-dominant hand. And like, when you do things different, you change your neurochemistry. And so using your non-dominant hand, changes that neurochemistry. So you could be eating with like, a different hand just to change it up. I really love doing jigsaw puzzles. I think I have that on the list. So I do these 1,000-piece. I actually did a 2,000-piece recently with like only my left hand, because that's my non-dominant hand. And it's really interesting. Now I'm kind of almost used to it.
Yeah.
And you can even like, there's journaling practices where you can like write with, your non-dominant hand. But yeah, just where can I use my non-dominant hand today?
It's interesting. Like, try holding your dog leash with the other hand. Try opening your refrigerator with the other hand. It's kind of a fun practice. Don't do anything dangerous, but it is a fun practice. And you guys are chipping away at doing something that's good for your body. And it's just kind of silly, but fun, but it's true and it works. And it's a thing. It's really a thing.
Yeah. And just, like, where can I do something different today? And then the easiest way is just, using your non-dominant hand. You can even go as far as like your feet, like which foot goes first.
Oh, yes.
Like,
I love that one.
Left, right. Like, oh, I always use like, if you're dominant on the right side, which most of us are, like my right always leads. Oh, what about the left? Yeah, and again, the non-dominant thing is the easiest way to do different things.
Yep. I love that. It's so cool. And it's so true. Okay. This one was hard for me because during different times in my life, I used it to cope, but it is about alcohol and getting away from it. And I remember I used to be obsessive because it was also, I look back, it was a coping mechanism with 5 a.m. workouts when I was going through the horrible times of my marriage. And I remember doing sit-ups on the ground, and the instructor was walking between us and talking about how we all really had to stop drinking. It was so bad for us, whatever. And I thought, this guy just needs to shut up. He has no idea what I'm going through. There's no way I'm not drinking my wine every night. There's no way. I just can't. And I didn't. And the funny thing is, now that I'm out of the horrible part of my situation, it's not that I quote stopped quote drinking. It doesn't cross my mind anymore. And now I get to look back conveniently and see some of the things alcohol was doing to my body. And now that when I do drink, because I don't not drink, I still have my wine every once in a while, but now I'm like, holy crap, I'm hyper aware of what it does to my body when I do just even have a glass of wine, and I'm sorry guys, it's not good, but I'm here to just give you healthy suggestions. So tell me about what your thoughts on that.
Well, I want to celebrate your win for the awareness and making like different choices. So that's amazing. Congratulations. Super proud of you for that. I have always been in the health and wellness space. So I have maybe had 5 drinks my entire life. Health wellness aspect of it has no benefits, like no healing benefits. And especially if you are going through a dark time with court still in your marriage, maybe you're like in family court and, just whatever stage you're in. And especially if you're in like the really dark stage, I would just say alcohol is off. Yeah. There's no benefits to it. One of the main reasons is that it's filled with glyphosate, and glyphosate's the main ingredient in Roundup. So you're literally drinking Roundup when you're drinking wine, liquor, like any of that stuff. So who wants to be drinking poison? So there's, like the nutritional aspects of it. If you want to have a different life than you are right now, alcohol doesn't come along. It's such a low frequency vibration. Now, if you want to have like a glass of wine, I would not you specifically, but listeners listening, I would highly recommend that it be organic, preferably from Italy or France, because they don't raise their grapes with glyphosate like here in the States. Because you just do not want to be drinking cancer.
Right.
It's, glyphosate's linked to, leukemia and different cancers.
Yeah.
So just from a purely health standpoint, it's just not a part of my life. I personally don't enjoy it. And I also think you can really get into the trap of reaching for that glass of wine or whatever it is instead of doing the inner work. And how do you want to show up for your kids, and just kind of numbing of just like, if you can't get through the day or the week of like, oh, I can't wait to go out to happy hour, I would really like, okay, something's going on here. What am I avoiding? I'm just trying to get through the day. And I want to give you hope. Hope, Rose, is that you can heal your life without alcohol. Like and that's what the suggestions we're giving you today, is that there's positive ways to heal your life without substance.
Yes.
And again, you're going to save a lot of money when you're not, spending it on alcohol, liquor. Like, put that money into a Mendy device, put that money into like magnesium.
Don't buy those bottles of wine for the next couple of weeks, and then you have your money for your Mendy. You're absolutely right. That's a fun challenge to have. And again, absolutely no shaming here. No, you're talking to somebody who loved their wine, and especially to numb at night, because I didn't want to be present after a certain hour when my kids were taken care of. Once they were asleep, I did not want to be mentally present in my reality of my world. And so looking back now, that's what it was. Yeah. I just want to acknowledge that we are learning more and more about alcohol every day. And unfortunately it's like relaxing you at night, or the red wine is good for you. It's not true. I'm sorry to break it to you, but it's not. It did help me fall asleep, but then I didn't realize I was sleeping. It's not real sleep. It interrupts your sleep patterns. It actually, in the long term, causes more depression and anxiety and all that stuff. So anyway, I won't make people feel bad about it anymore. Just want you to know there are, healthier choices.
Yeah. I mean, and it's another like free, like you can pivot the money to something else. But again, if you don't like, okay, then, it's a free choice, a free healing thing that you can do. If you're listening to this and you're just like, I can never give that up, or, whatever story is coming into your field, reach out. I'm happy to, walk through this with you, because there's a deeper issue going on. Maybe I'll entice you this way of like, if you want to win in court, what healthy habits do you need to put in place to do that? What healing do you want to do that? Like, where do I want my life to go? And is this really how I want my life to be with this choice?
And we only have one left, but what I will say on that note is this, and this is how the culmination of my journey and helping all the women I've helped has now positioned itself and presented itself to me. We have to reframe what winning is in our lives based off what we've gone through. And a lot of it is us turning inward and looking at the power that we can take for ourselves and healing ourselves and, doing great things for ourselves. We are stuck in these cycles and triggered and having to use something to cope every night. That's where somebody who's sort of after you or against you or you're fighting against, that's where they want you to stay. This not healthy person that was in my life would have loved me to stay in that spot. I went through something in my life that was really hard, and I never thought that something like that would happen to me. But you know what? There are some ways that I've learned lessons and healed and developed some great habits that I am now winning. And it's the point I just to say that. And last but not least, I put this last because it gets overplayed. But again, that's why I want it on this podcast, because I want us to dig into it a little bit. And it's the gratitude every day. And we need to say some specific things about it so people understand it's not just another meme we're talking about here about being grateful. There's so much to it. So you go ahead with your comments, please, about gratitude.
Yeah. So if you listen to this whole podcast, thank you. And you kind of know by now that I like streaks. So I use the Intelligent Change app, just the free version. And it's just like the gratefulness I think on the App Store, at least in Apple, it's a 5-minute journal, I think is what it's called, the app. Okay. But it's like the gratefulness practice. And today was like day 702, 703 in a row of doing this like every morning and every night. And so in the morning, it's just like, 3 things, you could do more, but a minimum of 3 things that you're grateful for. It kind of gives like, how am I going, another question is, how am I going to make today great?
Mm.
And it could be just a variety of things of like, I'm going to clean the sheets. I'm going to wash the sheets. Or it could be like, I'm going to keep my power when I'm in court. Like it just, again, like every day. And then at the end, they have like the daily affirmation and so instead of like, I am abundant, I am, healthy, your system probably doesn't think that right now because of all the shit that's happening to you.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I have done for the past year, every morning, and this is like spiritual psychology, I write, I forgive myself for judging myself, or instead of myself, it could be the other person. I forgive myself for judging X. I forgive myself for judging the system. I forgive myself for judging judge's name, attorney, whatever it is, whatever situation, person, place, or thing. You put that in there. I forgive myself for judging myself as being bad. Whatever judgment you have of that, you put that in that blank, because the truth is I wanted love. Or like, it doesn't have to be deep or anything. It just be like, I got in a bad situation.
Mm-hmm.
The system is screwed up,
Mm-hmm.
like whatever it is. And so what these statements do is it brings wholeness back to yourself. Because when you're in judgment of yourself or of another person or a situation, you're split. And so this kind of like, and over time you become whole. And so that's what I recommend. Again, it's probably another product I'll come out, I'll create, of really putting this practice into like a daily format. So yeah, instead of, I am statements, if they work for you, great. Most people can't embody those just because we've had so much trauma and grief and just ongoing abuse doesn't really land with us, doesn't really mean anything. Second statement I use is I forgive myself for buying into the misbelief that fill in the blank, because the truth is fill in the blank. I forgive myself for buying into the misbelief that I'm bad, because the truth is I had a fucked up childhood,
Yeah.
like whatever it is, or like, I didn't realize I wasn't bad. Like, it just doesn't have to be, again, deep,
Sure.
but very powerful statements to write every morning.
I love that,
And
because
then,
I think that we are combating false narratives so often, and we've started to adopt sometimes the false narratives either told about us or ones we've been telling ourselves for a long time. And so I think that helps battle that,
when women are in abusive situations, they have come from abusive childhoods.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have all of these misbeliefs, misinterpretations of the reality. It's like, oh, did I deserve abuse? Was I bad? And that's why the abuse happened. And then we just keep on perpetuating that cycle into adulthood, marriage, motherhood, all of that stuff. And so what these two statements do, it's really bringing wholeness back to yourself and peace back to yourself. So that way you're not like, psychologically split, so to speak. So I do that every morning, and then every night of like, what were the highlights today? Being on a podcast, sharing my story, taking, a nature walk, the sun, the sunshine was out. It could be very simple of like, I got a hug from a child. I cleaned my sheets. I did something different today, like just the small things, just, when we're grateful for the many things of like, I have legs, I'm healthy. I'm, like I have clean water, like I have a roof over my head, I have heat. Like, you could just go on down the list. And so every night before bed, in addition to like my writing practice, I do it on this app as well, of just like, what were the highlights from today? And it just kind of, again, brings you back to the present of like, oh, I made it through court and I kept my peace. I didn't give my power away. And so it's just a really simple, again, free practice. You can get the free app, or you can do it, in, however you want to do it. But again, it's free. And it's just all these little things, they stack, they add up. Yeah. And I guess I'll use this analogy as like, we always have, like, we have two buckets, and there's always drops in the bucket. One drop in the bucket could be, like a negative choice, negative thought, negative, pattern of behavior. The other drop is counteracting that. Which bucket do we want to overflow? I know the choice for me is I want like the good bucket of like, abundance and gratefulness, because that's how I want to show up in the world. And so that's why it's just really being mindful of like, oh, what bucket do I want to overflow today? Yeah. And then you feel more happy and more at peace. You might even notice a change in your ex just through the, the energy fields.
Yes.
Maybe your kids, maybe you won't. I'm not going to give false hope, but it doesn't matter about them. They can still be the abusive, whatever person they are.
Yeah. We have no control over them.
We have no control over them, but I know I'm going to heal for myself, heal for, generations past, previous, whatever, because that's what I'm called.
Absolutely. I love it. And I also frame sort of the gratefulness in the context of almost being like your rescue thoughts, because when we are ruminating or we're sort of stuck in that cycle of fear and anxiety, if you can sit down and carve out a moment to be present, like you said, and think about the things we're grateful for. And we should be grateful that we have legs and that we have heat and that we have electricity. I mean, though you can find things to be grateful for, even in your darkest times. And it just shifts. You can't sort of hold those two opposing feelings at the same time. And so it rescues you a little bit from the spiraling. And so that's why I think gratefulness. And if you're just trying to pick something to do right now and you want to habit stack or whatever stack we chose today, you could use your journaling as the gratefulness, you know what I mean, while you soak your feet. So you could do 3 things at once. So anyway, thank you so much, Hope Rose. I love this movement. It's amazing. Go to hoperosespeaks.com. You can download your 25 things. You can go to her podcast that you can find on her website, and then also on Instagram at Hope Rose Speaks. And I just think this has been amazing, and it's something a lot of people need.
Awesome. Thank you, Jackie. Please reach out if you need support, if I can, assist you in any way.
So yes, and everyone remember, you can go to her website also, and if you feel like you want to share your story and submit a request. So have a wonderful day. I hope to talk to you again soon. Thanks again.
Thank you, Jackie.